Hey Jackal, the goal for today is to make a 3D travel map simply because I didn't find anyone that made it yet, and I think there is a good reason for that. See, DaVinci Resolve is limited when it comes to simple 3D compositions. At least I consider a globe and a line going from point A to point B to be a simple composition. So I'll show you how it can be done. Now let's get digital. I have a fusion composition. You can open the media pool, right click, make a new fusion composition, give it a name, put it onto a timeline, select it, and go into the fusion page. Now I have here a simple composition of a planet. To make a simple planet, you'll want to download the texture. It can look something like this one. The resolution of this texture is 6000 by 3000 pixels. It doesn't have to be this big, it just has to be seamless. Once you have the image inside, you'll add a shape 3D node, go to the inspector and change the shape to a sphere, simply connect it, and if you display it, you'll have it like this. Now in the shape 3D node, as you can see, the edges are a bit jaggedy, not so in this case, so you'll simply increase the base subdivisions and hide subdivisions to an equal number. You can type in equals, connect the plus to hide subdivisions, so you only have to increase one value, and you can see how this behaves. And I've set this value to 60 in my example. But you can also go all the way to 100. I have here two more images, one is of the clouds and one is of the lights, connected to the shape 3D node, also a sphere. The clouds I've increased it a little bit, and the lights I've also increased it by a tiny bit. The difference though is in the material. I've lowered the alpha and opacity, so the adjustment is subtle. And then I've used the merge node and connected this to the original shape 3D node. So this is laid on top. I've then used a merge at the end and the camera node. In the camera I've simply adjusted the Z position so I can see the whole globe. You need the render node. The render is found here and the camera is found here. Then I've added the transform 3D, control space or shift space. You'll want to use this node. I've positioned it after the shape 3D and I've just used rotation to spin it around to the location that I want. And now let's add the line that goes from point A to point B. Now the idea is for the line to be in the 3D space, that it goes from point A to point B so we can animate it. And ideally the line should also have some thickness to it. Now we have two limitations, a straight line or a line that goes randomly between point A and point B. And the second limitation is only one way has the line thickness. But on a positive side, all of the methods can give you an automatic line shadow that is being cast on the globe. So the first way to make a line is to use the shape 3D node. I'll just use the original one. Copy it, paste it, and I can simply connect it. This will overlay it. I can increase the size a little bit. I'll then adjust the angle and adjust it until you get a line. In this case, as you can see, the line is tapered as it's a little bit wider in the middle as it is at the ends. So this is how you can get a line. How you will animate it is use the latitude. This is also how you can adjust the length. So now let's find the position where we want this line to be. So maybe you want to go from Italy to, let's say, Australia. So we'll go to the shape 3D, transform, and we'll rotate it around. Now this is the hardest part to match point A to the point B. In this case, it's almost good. Just have to make tiny adjustments. So this is close enough. Now simply go to the controls and adjust the latitude. So this could be it. Now as you can see, the line is very close to the surface and at the moment there is no shadow. We'll fix that in a moment. Now what you can do if you want this to have a bigger arc is to simply scale the shape 3D down. But if you do that, you'll have to also position it. So you can get a bigger arc like this if you want. As I've said, with this method you don't get any line thickness. Now to get the shadow, what I'll do is I'll simply add a spotlight. The spotlight is here, so I'll simply move it out and orientate it towards the line. We still don't see anything, and that's because you have to go to the render node and enable the lighting and the shadows. And so this is not all black. I'll add an ambient light. Increase the intensity, and then I'll lower the intensity of the spotlight. So something like this. The shadow in this example is not super visible, but we do have it. And if you want to change the color of the line, you can do that. Simply select the Shape 3D node and change the color. Now we can also animate it. Let's go to the end of the animation. Let's say frame 100. Keyframe the latitude. And the beginning of the animation will maybe be frame 10. And simply lower the value. Now we have the animation. You can see the line shadow at the bottom. Now this doesn't look the best at the moment because the planet is not moving. One way how you can fix this easily is to add another 3D transfer node after it, so you don't have to animate the line separately to match it again with point A and point B. So I'll simply use this transfer node, copy it. Now what I'll do is I'll make a new merge 3D node. Position this camera 3D to this merge. And this transform to here. So now the camera is viewing what it should view, and this transfer node will animate the whole planet. So let's go to the beginning of the animation. It's at this point. Spin the globe round, and we can maybe also zoom in a little bit. Now you can keyframe everything if you think that you will be moving this around. And in the transform, I'll also keyframe the rotation. So this is how the animation can look like. You could then also add some text 3D at the end and at the beginning. But now let me show you the second way, how you can add the line. So I'll just leave everything as is. In the Shape 3D node, instead of a sphere, I'll choose a cylinder. It looks too big. As you can see, what we need to do is change the radius to make it small. But you'll want to increase the height. This can be all adjusted later. Now in case of the animation, you can't use the angle. As you can see, let me just increase the height, because this is how it would animate. So to make the animation, we'll actually use a background node and connect it to the Shape 3D. Change the type from solid color to a gradient. With the black color selected, lower the alpha and position it closer to the white color. We'll be animating the offset. As you can see, currently it does almost the same as the angle in the Shape 3D node, which is not what we want. But what we'll want to do is go to the background node and change the orientation of the gradient. So if you put it at 90 degrees, something like this, and then we'll simply animate the offset, the animation will look something like this. Now I'll simply scale it down, so it's not as big, because we simply want a line. So we have the line, we have the animation, but now we need to bend it into place. And to do that, we'll use a bender node. And when you do use the bender, I suggest what you do is that you don't touch the rotation, otherwise the bending will not work as you want it to. So I'll set rotation to 0. Now you should see some bending, but we don't, and that's because you have to go to the Shape 3D node and change the height subdivisions. And you can also change the base subdivisions, so let's go with 40 and 40, and now we should see the bending. So we do get the bend. Let's see how it looks like in comparison to the planet. So it's a little bit too big. Let's reduce the height. In this case, you do need the transform node after the bend. So transform 3D, because you'll need to position it and also rotate it. So let's bend it a bit more, position it out. Let's try to go from Italy again. As you can see, this method is not the best when it comes to positioning, but you do have a thickness to the line. When you have the position done, what you could also do is use another transfer node so that you can rotate it easily around the planet. So something like this, and again let's make the animation. In this case the animation is the other way around, so I'll simply put this one here and like so. So just switch out the white color and the black one with the alpha set to 0, so you get the animation from the right side that you want. Now if you want, you can also go to the Shape 3D node and enable the caps. In this case, I would advise against it. Let me increase the radius. So with the big radius, you can see that if you enable the caps, this cap will start taking the color before the animation actually finishes. So just have a small size and disable the caps. And now for the last option, to make the line go from point A to point B, is to use a ribbon node. You also need the background node to actually see it, and animation will also be made with the background node by using the offset. So I'll do it like this. So I'll simply disconnect this for now and use ribbon node in place of it. So the ribbon node is ideal for positioning because it has point A basically and point B. So the positioning should be a lot easier. So this is the positioning. Now by default the ribbon has 10 lines. I only need one. We'll see about the line thickness, but we don't really see anything here, and you have to go to the render node and enable OpenGL. We'll see it a bit more when I actually have the whole shape. To bend this into shape, we'll also use the bender node. In the ribbon, we'll need to adjust the subdivisions to make it smooth. Maybe adjust the width, we'll see. and we can change the color to a red one. Now we see the bending down here. Let me just display it like this. So this is about the shape that we want, but we also need to use the transfer node to position it outside. Now why is the line black even though the ribbon is red? That's because of the background node, because it's black. So we'll also use the gradient. With the black color, we'll also lower the alpha, so we can animate the offset. And it needs to go in the opposite direction. So I'll position the white to the left, and this black to the right. So we go from Italy to Australia. And those are the 3 ways to make a 3D travel map around the globe. And if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and until next time jackals, keep it digital.